Okay, I hope I'm audible to all the students attending this lecture. We continue with the labor market and the AS curve. In the last lecture, we had derived the classical aggregate supply curve, which is vertical parallel to the y-axis, and the Keynesian aggregate supply curve is horizontal, that is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, classical economists believe that economy will always be at the full employment level of output. Keynesian economists believe that unemployment does exist in the economy. Since unemployment does exist in the economy, more labor can be hired at the same wage rate. Okay, that means the firms can supply as much output as they can in the long run. That is why whatever classical aggregate supply curve and Keynesian aggregate supply curve we had done in the last lecture are the long run aggregate supply curves. Now in the last lecture, we had looked at the impact of fiscal expansion on the Keynesian AS curve. In this lecture, we look at fiscal expansion with the classical AS curve. Fiscal expansion with the classical AS curve. So let's draw the diagrams for this. Output, interest rates, output, prices, initial IS curve, drawn for a given level of government expenditure, initial LM curve, drawn for a given level of real money supply. Y0, I0. Now we are in the classical economy, so my aggregate supply curve is vertical and my demand curve is downward sloping. Okay, so this is our initial diagram. Now, suppose G bar goes up from G0 bar to G1 bar. Suppose government expenditure goes up. What will happen? IS curve will shift to the right. Guys, the same chain will happen, which we have done before. This implies IS curve shifts to the right from IS0 to IS1, which implies my economy moves from point E0 to point E1. Okay, so economy moves from point E0 to point E1, which implies the output demanded in the economy increases from Y0 to Y1, which implies the AD curve in the second diagram shifts to the right, from AD0 to AD1. In the second diagram, my AD curve will shift to the right from AD0 to AD1, which implies at the same price P0, there is excess demand for goods. At the same price P0, there is excess demand for goods. But in the classical economy, labor is already fully employed. Labor is already fully employed, which implies more labor can be hired. More labor can be hired only by increasing the wages, which implies increase in cost of production of the firms, which implies increase in prices. So prices will start rising till I move back to the point E1. Now increase in prices from P0 to P1 will cause the real money supply M by P to fall, which implies LM curve shifts back. You can see the LM curve will shift back because the LM curve is drawn for a given level of real money supply. Now for the same nominal money supply, my price level has gone up from M0 by P0 to M0 by P1. That means my real money supply has fallen. My denominator has gone up, which causes my real money supply to fall. So what will happen to the LM curve? It will shift back to the equilibrium level E2. So guys, actually if I make it more clear, this is E1, this is E1, but this is E2. So you can see in the classical economy, fiscal expansion is not successful in increasing the output beyond the full employment level. So I once again repeat the whole story. Initially, the economy was at full employment level of output. Y0 is the full employment level. Initially, the economy was at full employment level of output. When government expenditure goes up, IS curve shifts to the right. The whole IS chain happens, which we have done in the ISLM lectures. Economy moves from point E0 to point E1. As a result, output demanded in the economy goes up from Y0 to Y1. As a result, AD curve shifts to the right from AD0 to AD1. At the same price P0, there is excess demand for goods. To meet that excess demand, firm needs to hire more labor. But we are in the classical economy, labor is already fully employed. More labor can be hired only by bidding up the wages. When wages go up, firms, cost of production of the firms go up. When COP goes up, firms will increase the prices. So prices will start rising till the economy reaches the full employment level of output. When prices rise, what happens in diagram 1? When prices rise, the real money supply falls. When prices rise, it causes the real money supply to fall, which will cause the LM curve to shift back till the economy reaches point E2. So you can see interest rates are further rising. So guys, if you look at the diagram, in the classical economy, what is happening? All the nominal factors are rising. Wages are rising, prices are rising, interest rates are rising. That means in the classical economy, all nominal factors are rising. But is anything happening to the real factor? Is employment changing? No. Is output changing? No. So classical economy has no impact on the real factors. It will only cause the nominal factors to change in the long run. So if I say fiscal expansion is successful under the Keynesian economy to increase the level of output, but fiscal expansion fails under the classical economy. It will not be able to increase the output beyond the full employment level. And then let's look at the last two cases after which we stop. Monetary expansion with the classical AS curve. Monetary expansion with the classical AS curve. So we were looking at fiscal expansion. Now we look at the monetary expansion. Let's draw the diagram. Initial IS curve drawn for a given level of government expenditure, initial LM curve drawn for a given level of real money supply, initial equilibrium, I0, Y0. Y0 is the full employment level. This is my AS curve, AS0, Y0, AD curve, initial price level, P0. Economy is initially in equilibrium at point E0. Now, when money supply goes up, when M increases from M0 to M1, it implies M by P goes up. It implies when real money supply goes up, what happens to the LM curve? LM curve shifts to the right from M0 by P0 to M1 by P0. Nothing is happening to the price level right now. The price level is still the same. Nominal money supply has gone up. So my LM curve shifts to the right and downwards. Now guys, the whole monetary policy change will happen. I'm not going into the depth of it. You can look onto it from the ISLM lectures. The whole monetary policy change which we have done in the ISLM lectures will happen. Ultimately, the economy will move from point E0 to point E1. So LM curve shifts to the right downwards from LM0 to LM1, which implies equilibrium moves from point E0 to E1, which implies output demanded in the economy increases from Y0 to Y1. When output demand in the economy increases, the AD curve shifts. Okay, but one more thing to understand is this is monetary expansion. And in monetary expansion, AD curve does not shift parallelly. AD curve shifts like this, if you remember, unparalleled shift. When money supply goes up, aggregate demand will shift up vertically in exactly the same proportion as the money supply. Something which we had done in the aggregate demand lecture. Fiscal expansion causes the AD curve to shift parallelly to the right. Monetary expansion causes the AS curve to shift vertically upwards in the same proportion as the money supply. So it shifts upwards, which implies AD curve shifts vertically upwards in the same proportion as the money supply. as the nominal money supply, which implies at the same price level, P0, there is excess demand for goods, which implies, so you can see that there is excess demand E0 to E1. You can see that there is excess demand at the same price. Okay, which implies firms need to hire more labor. But economy is already fully employed. Which implies more labor can be hired only by increasing the wages, which implies increase in cost of production of the firms, which implies increase in prices. So prices start rising from P0 to P1, which implies increase in prices from P0 to P1. And when prices rise, prices will rise in exactly the same proportion as the money supply. So LM curve, which initially shifted to the right, will now shift back to its original level. So this curve will also be LM2, which is M1 by P1. And guys, M1 by P1 is exactly equal to M0 by P0. So points E0 and E2 will coincide. So when prices increase, real money supply M by P falls to M1 by P1, which implies LM shifts back to the original level. So are we able to increase output in the economy? You can see no. LM curve shifts from LM0 to LM1, but eventually because of an increase in prices, it shifts back to LM0. Initially money supply M went up, eventually prices have also gone up, which causes the real money supply to remain the same. So we move from E0 to E1 temporarily, but ultimately the economy will move back from E1 to E2. The economy will be back to the full employment level of output. The economy will be back to the full employment level of output. So is monetary expansion successful under the classical AS curve? No. Under the classical economy, monetary expansion cannot increase the output beyond the full employment level of output. So I hope all the students have understood. Any doubt, please unmute your mic and ask, or you can send your doubt to me on chat.
So sir, in the case that there is full employment level of output, which is the classical AS curve, उसमें दोनों policies fail, right?
Yes, true. Any other doubt? So this is my Y1, okay? Any other doubt to any student can ask? Okay, then let's do the last thing for the day, after which we stop. You know the last thing, right? Monetary expansion with the Keynesian AS curve. And you know the answer also. Monetary expansion with the Keynesian AS curve. I assume all students already know the answer. I am just doing it as a formality. Keynesian AS curve is horizontal. The aggregate demand curve is downward sloping. So suppose the nominal money supply increases from M0 to M1. This causes the real money supply to increase. LM curve shifts to the right, downwards. Which implies economy moves from point E0 to point E1, something which we have already done in the monetary policy chain, you know that now, which implies output demanded in the economy increases from Y0 to Y1, which implies AD curve in diagram 2 shifts vertically upwards in exactly the same proportion as the nominal money supply. So you can see I've drawn an unparalleled shift. AD curve shifts upwards. My diagrams will not be very neat for obvious reasons, although I want them to be very accurate, but given the limitations of online lectures, having them is a bit problematic. So it will shift parallelly upwards in exactly the same proportion as the nominal money supply, which implies excess aggregate demand for goods, which implies firms need to hire more labor. In the Keynesian economy, more labor can be hired at the same nominal wage, which implies no change in cost of production of the firms, which implies no change in prices, which implies at the same price, P0, output supplied by the firms. I hope all students are able to understand the short forms. Output supplied by the firms increases from Y0 to Y1, and the economy moves to point, and the economy moves to the point E1. So you can see that monetary expansion is successful under the Keynesian economy. When nominal money supply goes up, LM curve shifts down vertically and to the right. As a result, the whole monetary policy chain happens, which we have done in the ISLM lectures. Economy moves from point E0 to point E1. Output demanded in the economy goes from Y0 to Y1. This causes the aggregate demand curve in diagram 2 to shift vertically upwards in exactly the same proportion as the money supply. When aggregate demand goes up, firm needs to hire more labor. But in the Keynesian economy, you can hire more labor at the same wage rate because the major assumption is that unemployment exists in the economy. So since firms can hire more labor at the same wage rate, no change in cost of production, no change in price, that means at the same price, firms can supply to cover up the demand. As a result, the output in the economy moves from Y0 to Y1. So what we have learned is, under the classical system, monetary expansion does not cause any change in output employment, whereas under the Keynesian system, monetary expansion causes an increase in output and employment. So guys, this is where I stop. Also, interest rates are falling. You can see interest rates are falling are even good for the economy, because a fall in interest rates will cause investment to rise. It's monetary expansion is doing even better under the Keynesian AS curve. However, if you look at monetary expansion under the classical AS curve, in that case also it was causing the interest rates to fall. So in both the cases, in monetary expansion, interest rates are falling, which causes the investment to rise. But in fiscal expansion, you will see that interest rates rise, which will ultimately cause investments to fall. So if I tell you monetary expansion is a better policy than fiscal expansion, because monetary expansion will ultimately in net terms cause the interest rates to fall, which in turn will cause investment to rise, unlike the fiscal expansion, where the interest rates will eventually rise, causing the investments to fall. So if I sum up, in today's lecture, we have talked about the labor market and the aggregate supply curve. We have done two forms of long run aggregate supply curve, classical and Keynesian. Classical AS curve is parallel to the parallel to the y-axis. Keynesian AS curve is parallel to the x-axis. Monetary expansion is successful in the Keynesian framework also. And monetary expansion, both monetary and fiscal expansion are successful in the Keynesian framework, but both monetary and fiscal expansion will fail under the classical framework to increase the output beyond the full employment level. So this is where I stop. Okay, in the next lecture of macro, which happens next week, we will take a tour of the labor market. We will dig deeper into the labor market in the next week. So this is where I stop. I hope no doubts.